I'm back with another Black Pixie moment. And this article is about Newt Gingrich and the fact that he says, well, the point I was going to make is not the fact that he says Pelosi looking silly on the impeachment article. The point that caught my attention is the fact that what he said, Donald Trump the impeachment that never was. And the lady that interviewed him, when I was watching the video from Fox News, she, they got to get that last say in there to try to spin that narrative. And Newt Gingrich just sat there and looked at her. See, I remember Newt Gingrich from the impeachment of Bill Clinton. I remember him very well. I didn't like him back then, because I was just like, oh, why are you trying to impeach Clinton? Now, I see why they try to impeach Clinton. But the impeachment with Clinton, it went through, and the articles were sent through the Senate. And the Senate choose not to impeach him. So they go around, oh, he was impeached. But the thing about it is, he was impeached by both parties, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. So there was some Democrats that also wanted him impeached. So that was different. I understood that back then. Now, even though I know since then, since Obama, they have been creating laws. They've been changing laws and rewriting laws and creating them and making them up as they go. And it awoke a person looking at politics in any way, fashion can see that. Now, he said the impeachment that never was. And this is why he said what he said. He said President Donald Trump impeachment trial will eventually open in the Senate. But the question of when depends on how long House Speaker Nancy Pelosi can deal with being sort of ridiculed and looking silly, which is what the former House Speaker Newt Gingrich said Friday. And she looking silly because they impeached this man. You had one party impeach a president with no one from the other party. And in fact, one was present, just put present and didn't vote. Two voted nay. And one defected from the Democrat Party and moved over to Republican. Over just the way things went. I watched that thing till I got tired of looking at it. And I saw how it went. It was the most ridiculous thing I ever seen. In my mind, I understand an impeachment process in the limited way that I do understand it. Because in high school, I took civics. So straight A student in civics in 12th grade when I took the civics class. Never had a government class ever taken before 12th grade. When I changed schools and had a better curriculum where I, based on challenging my, this was challenged me on information that I need to learn rather than being dumbed down by an all-black school with all black principals and all of that. But going to the segregated school that was white and kids being bussed over in my last year of high school. So with all that said, I understood then the balance of powers. There were three. Executive, my thing is remembering the terms, but anyway, it's the President, the Supreme Court, and the House of Representatives. I learned that, and And I understood it what it was until now, dealing with politics later years in life. I'm kind of putting it together and understanding. Because had I not take that class in 12th grade, I would not understand about this impeachment, even though I never followed politics or news ever in my 20s and 30s. I want to start following politics in my in my 50s. So, my late 40s, I just started looking at news. But in my 50s, I started, trying to get a little bit more involved with politics and understand it more. So, with that knowledge, I took back then, 35 years ago when I graduated high school. It helped me to see that there's a balance of power for a reason. And there's not a balance when half of a house impeaches a president because they got more of them than the other one. And then you have one defect, two voted nay, and one just said, well, I'm just going to vote president. I abstain. I ain't doing either one. So, and then, after they got the impeachment done in the House, and people seem to think, he's been impeached. People want to hold on to the thought that Donald Trump was impeached. But Clinton wasn't impeached, because once it went to the Senate and went to trial, there was more that said nay than that said yay. So he wasn't impeached, even though they want us to believe he was impeached, as if we are slow in the brain or something. But Clinton wasn't impeached because the Senate said no. More voted no than those that voted yes. But this situation with Trump is different. Only the Democrats voted to impeach this man simply because they had more of them than the other party. Which, if you understand the Constitution and think about the government, that is not how the government works. And right now the government is not working. That's why things going the way it's going. Then, once you impeach the man, what do? You go on Christmas break and said you're not going to Senate the trial. I don't get that. To me, that's like, this man, that's like somebody robbing a store. So the chief of police, whoever in charge for gathering all the information and putting it all together, and and the lawyers and all of that getting together, defense attorney, solicitor, whatever, all the people get together and got all the evidence, and they send it to the these people we didn't know too much about until this Michael Brown and stuff like that. They send it there, and they decide they're not going to charge somebody. Well, it's like that with this. All of this went down. They sent it there, and all of them agree that, okay, we're going to charge this man with robbery. We're going to charge him with robbing this store. We done got all the evidence. So we found him. So he's been indicted on these charges. But I'm not gonna send it to the judge to the trial because of whatever. So now this person has been indicted of a crime, but they never get their day in court. You never go to court for it. You just stay in jail forever until they decide to do. This is to me, this is kind of similar to what they're doing with Trump. They've already found him guilty of all of this stuff, these impeachment things. They say, well, we found him guilty, therefore he's been indicted, he's been impeached. So Trump has been impeached or indicted of these crimes that they come together and find him guilty of. But what do they do with it? They decides I'm not going to hand the article over to the Senate, to the court, to the judge, who is going to try this case, because I don't feel like they're going to do what I need them to do. Literally find him guilty of it and have him removed or thrown out or whatever. This is what I'm seeing. Now, going to read a little bit more. Newt Gingrich says, I think, she can't negotiate with Senate Majority Leader Mitch. This like nobody could negotiate with her. And I think she's just doing what these people behind her tell her to do. Since like they couldn't negotiate with her for anything, she cannot negotiate with Mitch McConnell. And Gingrich told Fox News, the American newsroom, McConnell is one of the most formidable leaders in the history of the Senate. So, the way he treated Obama, he's definitely the most formidable. Obama didn't stand a chance. Because the thing was, it does not matter how we look. What matters is that this is the narrative and this is what it's going to be. Even if we look, even if people know. So that's why I wrote the Senate, because you get away with people just sitting here watching you, just get away with just whatever. And you carrying on as if what you're doing is right, even though it's obvious what you're doing, it's not what you normally do as far as what is right. So you make them up as you go. But anyway, she told all of her members, look solemn. Don't celebrate. Don't smile, said Gingrich. When a bunch started to make noise, she stared at them, and then she goes on a few minutes later, surprises the press corps, and announces she won't send the impeachment over. Talk about making the whole thing look absurd. That's like you find this robber of a store guilty. Well, you find him guilty. So you indicted him on it. Because you got all the evidence, he's guilty, and we have indicted him. Now it's time to take it to trial and find him guilty as charged. Right now, he's just indicted on it. So now we go to trial, and we're going to find him guilty by his peers or whatever. And he's going to go to jail for whatever. This situation here is the same thing. You impeach this man, indicted him, and now you're not going to send it to court? That makes no sense to me. Meanwhile, Trump is ignoring them and wanders around getting things done and holding big rallies. And McConnell keeps getting judges approved, said Gingrich. He's getting judges approved. The former speaker also commented on Bloomberg opinion piece by Harvard law professor Noah Feldman, one of the legal experts for the Democrats during the House Judiciary Committee's testimony on impeachment. In his article, Feldman writes that there is no timeline for Pelosi agreeing for the House to send the articles of impeachment to the Senate, but the House must send the articles and managers to the Senate to prosecute the case. He says she must send it. But, as he say, there is no timeline for her to send it. But she must send it. So they go off on Christmas break and just don't send it. It's absolutely absurd. If you took civic class and I never took the government class. My sister took the government class at the school that whose sole purpose is to dumb down black students. She took those classes. She was super smart. Government something. I forgot what it was. I took the civics class at the other school. She took government. I didn't take the government class. I would have had a more understanding of how the operations of the government. But I understand enough to understand that there's a balance of power, and there's no balance when you have half of a house indicting somebody because it's more of them, and not sending it to the Senate, to the courts to be tried, to be found, to completely impeach and move him out. Which we know they're not going to do that based on they refused to do it. They all voted nay in the House, showing that that's how they're going to vote when they get to the Senate. So she's holding, not sending it. But anyway, Gingrich said a brilliant lawyer friend of his told him Thursday that he thinks if the articles aren't delivered before the House goes out of session, the process basically dies on the vine. It's like a shrivel up grape on a vine. Now I've seen some shriveled up, dried out, dead grapes on a vine. I guess where the worms got in and eat it up, and they never fell to the ground or got picked to be eaten. But he added that he is not sure if that is true. He's not sure if it is true. He said, but however, the longer the impasse goes on, the worse Pelosi and House Democrats look, Gingrich noted. They will look more narrow and partisan, he said. You can't look no. They look narrow and partisan now because it's half of a house who has more people than the other half of the house. Therefore, you could just ignore the other half of the house that make the house a whole house and just decide that somebody gonna get kicked out of the house or somebody gonna do whatever, a part of one of the balancing governments. This just makes absolutely no sense. Now, this say Pelosi say power of gavel means Trump is impeached forever. If it never goes to the Senate, how is he impeached? Clinton went to the Senate and was thus not impeached and was thus not removed from office. You impeached him. We didn't. Therefore, he's not impeached. But people say Clinton is impeached. Now, Trump gonna be impeached forever, even though she was holding the articles. And it says, according to this article, this is unconstitutional. Let's click on this, talking about holding something forever. Now, Pelosi power gavel means Trump impeached forever. Nancy Pelosi promised as Speaker she would show the power of the gavel. This year, she laid it out for all to see. Now, the past week alone, the Democratic leader delivered $1.4 trillion in government funding package to stop a shutdown, pushed through the bipartisan U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement, and passed her party's plan to lower prescription drug costs. In between, she led a congressional delegation to Europe for the 75th anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge. Now, and on Wednesday, she impeached the president. She did all of this to get this passed and impeach the president. As the first year of Pelosi's second stint as Speaker draws to a close, she is the only woman to hold the office and the first Speaker in 60 years to reclaim the gavel after losing it. The California Democrat took stock of whether she fulfilled her campaign trial promise. Donald Trump thinks so. Pelosi told the Associated Press during an interview Thursday at her office in the Capitol. He just got impeached. He'll be impeached forever. Who to say this now? Pelosi says he just got impeached. He'll be impeached forever. No matter what the Senate does, he's impeached forever because he violated our constitutional. This is ridiculous. That's like me and my husband and our 4 children. I decide that one of the 4 children is no longer my child, and my husband said, "This is my child." So I'm not going to. I'm not going to. No, this is my child. I said it's not my child. So I go out there and say, "Okay, put mine in. He's not my child." I said, "You're not my child. You're out." And then I go put it for my husband to make the decision. He says he's supposed to say it's my child and grip me down. Both of us don't disown the child. But instead, he says not. I'm not disowning my child. He's my child. Whatever. So I say, well, because he's not going to agree to disown my child, disown our child. So therefore, I'm not going to send it over there because he's going to disagree, and therefore, it's not going to work. So he disowned forever out this whole entire family of 6. That makes absolutely no sense. Absolutely none. Half of a house decided that a whole house impeached somebody. That makes absolutely no sense. Me and my husband is half of the house. Then they're the 4 children. And then we're going to decide one of the children is not our child. It makes absolutely no sense. So then let's look at the DNA test. So to make that decision, we're not going to do the DNA test and prove that this child is our child. I'm just going to say, he's not me and your child forever. So that's how it goes, even though we never do the DNA test. So the other balancing of the power, I will say the DNA test, I'm just coming up with this stuff just because it absolutely makes no sense. The government is completely not working as originally supposed to work. But anyway, I'm not going to read all of this. I just wanted to do that little bit. And it says she was whole. It says unconstitutional. I just look like a second of that. This is Nancy up there. Not Nancy Pelosi. So here the article just says a little bit now that the House has impeached President Trump. Half of a House ignored the other half and impeach the president. The question is, what happens next? Pelosi has suggested that she may withhold the articles of impeachment from the Senate as part of a negotiating tactic. I have never heard of nothing like this. You find this robber guilty. All the evidence, you don't indict this man for robbing his store. Now, because I already know the court is not going to find him guilty, so I'm not going to take none of the evidence there. I'm not going to take all this information, this indictment. I'm not going to send none of the evidence to court because I know they're not going to find this man guilty. Because as I was putting this stuff together, they disagreed that the information was faulty or whatever whatever they was fighting about, talking about whatever. So he can be impeached forever. You can't be impeached forever if you never went to trial and was found guilty or not guilty, which they already know he could be found not guilty. He could be found not. He could be declared not impeached. It is what it is, but I just thought that I just might share a little bit of this because it's crazy. I'm not a Trump supporter. Um, I vote for my interests. If you don't have a black agenda, you don't want to put in any legislator or do anything for black people. And when you ask about um agenda for black people as far as voting, you like Biden. They ask him about the thing. He talks about immigrants. What do immigrants got to do with black with putting stuff in place for black people? Then he mentions then Biden mentions racism. We didn't ask you about racism. Racism is uh um there's no such thing as racism. Cause how in the world he said something about some racism trust. What the H is that? There's no such thing as racism. And for you putting something in place to stop racism, what is that going to do for black people? Oh, I'm not racist. Prove that I'm racist. I'm doing all of these good things. Yeah, it's not benefiting you by design. It's there for you. It point blank says it's for minority, which you are, but we're just not going to give it to you just because what can you do about it? That's all that going to do. These people talking points. I just listen to this stuff. It is so clear in my brain. I just see through it. It's like, they ask you about the situations black people are in, and you talking about a racism trust to stop racism and help immigrants and everybody else is going to benefit. Sound like a Kamala Harris thing. I'm not going to do nothing just for black people. Let's be clear. It will help all Americans. That's the same thing Biden said, just in a different way. You can go pull it up and look at it. But my thing is, it makes absolutely no sense. When you talk about unconstitutional, there's no such thing as the Constitution haven't done anything for black people since it was written. So it's based on what an individual person decides that a particular group of people, like they say, the black people are not for a protected group of people. LGBT white men are. White women are. Immigrants, DACA are. I guess whatever Indians are. Only people not protected, a protected group of people are ADOS black Americans. So, but we supposed to, now Yvette says something about they give up on black people, which I saw that coming. But the thing is too, you keep pushing it, because like I'll be getting this feedback that y'all vote don't matter. Y'all have no leverage. Okay, if we have no leverage, why are you trying to get our votes? Y'all had the right to vote. Y'all asked for the right to vote, this and this and that. Your ancestors, this and that. That what I got to do with me not benefiting, not getting anything for my vote? What I got to do with anything? After 30 years, 50 years or however many years when black men was allowed to vote first, what I got to do with now? I got nothing to do with now. What's going on now is that we see how this political thing runs, especially Obama getting in chair and waking people up as far as how this political system runs and what you ask for, and the fact that Obama gave DACA and LGBT they give them something. DACA had an agenda. LGBTQ had an agenda. And Obama gave them what they asked for. All we hear is, oh, you shouldn't ask for nothing. Oh, you don't this, you don't that. This stuff, like this crap going on like this crap going on with this Pete Butter Judge. Like this thing going on with him, and I was looking at Lisa Cabrera, and she was getting all that good old juicy information about what's going down with him and how he become mayor, telling black with all of this stuff going on. Oh, well, when you got guests in the house, you don't talk about this, you don't talk about that, telling black people what they shouldn't be talking about. And now they done got rid of all the black people that was there under him. And now he run for president, you're going to tell them, oh, you shouldn't talk about this, talk about that. No. Black people are speaking up. You don't speak up, you lose what you got. Bottom line. And if you don't stick together, you won't ever get anything. So, with all of that said, which has nothing to do with this, but the fact that the point that I just got from this is that Trump is supposed to be considered impeached forever, and you're not gonna send it to the Senate, because you're not gonna send it to the Senate because you using it as a negotiating tool. Let me see where that is. Maybe that was in this one. Use it as a Speaker Pelosi has suggested that she may withhold the articles of impeachment from the Senate as part of a negotiating tactic. I have never heard of the prosecutor who gathered all the information against the robber, indicted him on it, said we got enough evidence to indict him, take it to court. But because you already know the defense attorney and everybody on that side who is also a part of this gathering information, you sending it to them, is not going to find him guilty. So you're going to use it as a negotiating tactic to say you either find Trump impeachment or we're not going to give you the evidence. I've never heard such thing in my life. But anyway, that's it for this video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.